It's Monday, June 10. This is the news on PBCJ. I am Simone Absalom. Prime Minister Andrew Holness says that the government will be accelerating the provision for shelter this year under the Housing Opportunity Production and Employment Program, HOPE, with $1 billion to start. He announced last week that Danville Walker has been brought on board as director of the Housing Trust under HOPE. The HOPE program falls under the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation. The program provides educational and job opportunities for persons ages 18 to 24 who are not employed or enrolled in a school or program of training. The Prime Minister made the announcement while addressing the Ministry of Economic Growth and Job Creation Strategic Leadership Retreat in St. Anne. Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett is reporting that the island welcomed a record 2 million visitors for the first 5 months of 2019. Minister Bartlett says this is the first time in the history of Jamaica that within the first 5 months of the year, 2 million visitors have come to Jamaica. Mr. Bartlett further informed that the country earned US $1.7 billion for the period as a result of increase in arrivals. The tourism minister said that the government is working to retain a greater portion of visitor spending so that more Jamaicans can benefit from the industry. He noted that the country now retains 40.8 cents out of every tourism dollar spent on the island, up from 30 cents. He was speaking at the official opening of the R Hotel in New Kingston last week. Debate on the Trust Act 2019 seeks to provide a modern legal framework for the governance of trusts, opened during Friday's sitting of the Senate. The leader of government business, Senator Kamina Johnson-Smith, who piloted the bill, pointed out that the regulation of the conduct of trustees is governed by the 1897 Trustee Act, which she noted is outdated. As such, the bill is intended to implement a strong, modern, clear and comprehensive law that will support measures for the modernization and diversification of the economy. It will, among other things, codify the common law repeal of the 1897 Act, provides savings and transitional provisions for continuity, and preserve the validity and enforceability of trusts legally created.
The bill seeks to not only update the legislative framework, but it seeks to address the needs of a modern economy in which the investment community has increased its use of the trust as a vehicle to enhance the returns that may be earned from assets that are comprised in the trust, or that comprise the trust. The bill includes provisions that will strengthen the regulatory environment and accountability standards to which trustees are to adhere. Further, it seeks to bolster the protective measures for persons who are affected by the terms of a trust or provide services related to trusts, inclusive of trustees.
Mrs. Johnson-Smith pointed out that stakeholders in the international financial services sector, as well as domestic trust service providers, will be supported by this legislation. Debate on the bill was suspended until a date to be announced. The Senate began debate on a motion that would allow for more accessibility to the Parliament for persons with disabilities. The private member motion was brought by opposition Senator Floyd Morris.
When we speak of access in the context of persons with disabilities cannot be seen within the narrow context or narrow confines of physical access to a building. Access must be seen in a broader framework in terms of access to information, access to services. And one of the challenges that confronted persons with disabilities in terms of the Parliament, in particular persons who are deaf and hard of hearing, is that they were not able to see and, well, to hear what was taking place in the parliament. And they complained to me about it.
On the government side, newly minted Senator Robert Morgan spoke to the measures being undertaken by the Andrew Holness administration to assist the disabled community.
An interrogation of the budgets of 2016, 2017 to 2018, 2019 will demonstrate that over that period, this government has spent over $1.5 billion in the interest of the disabled. Mr. President, this money has gone to organizations such as the Abilities Foundation, the Jamaica Society for the Blind, and early stimulation programs. Mr. President, this is not lip service. This is money for the benefit of the disabled in Jamaica. Mr. President, we are the ones in 2018 that allocated $50 million for the installation of wheelchair ramps at public education institutions across the island. Mr. President, while I will acknowledge that $50 million for wheelchair ramps, as we found out just now, is not sufficient, it is a greater start than what was had before.
Morris endorsed the government's plan to construct a new parliament building at Heroes Circle in Kingston, outfitted with various features to improve access to persons with disability.
Senator, the people of Jamaica sincerely thank you for your unequivocal support for the development of a new parliament at Heroes Circle. We are happy that after 55 years, a government has developed the strength and vision to complete what was promised before independence.
Debate on the motion will continue in future Senate sittings. The Manchester Municipal Corporation corruption trial is scheduled to continue today in the parish court, where an accounting clerk who has been on the stand since last Tuesday afternoon is expected to continue testimony. The witness, who is the fifth to take the stand to date, is being grilled by the Crown Counsel as they work through 112 documents brought into evidence. The case came about in 2016 when a joint raid by the Financial Investigations Division, the Office of the Contractor General, and the Major Organized Crime and Anti-Corruption Agency of the corporate offices of the Municipal Corporation and homes of some senior employees. It led to the arrests and charges in relation to misappropriation of funds. Last week, prosecutors said that the amount in question, which Mocha previously said was $95 million, has now increased to some $400 million. The People's National Party's Peter Bunting has confirmed his impending challenge for the leadership of the party. Bunting, the Member of Parliament for Central Manchester, told the Jamaica Gleaner that in the coming weeks he will be engaging various stakeholders within the party and the wider society to discuss, quote, the strategic direction in which I would lead the political movement that is PNP, end quote. In a statement on Sunday, PNP President Dr. Peter PHILLIPS said, quote, the democratic tradition of the PNP remains vibrant and must ultimately be seen as an indication that comrades at all levels remain passionate about the party, end quote. A leadership election before the annual conference, the party's highest decision-making body, would require a special delegates conference. Dozens of Jamaicans came out for the Green Expo 2019 held at the National Arena over the weekend. The three-day event focused on environmental innovation and hot topics such as climate change adaptation and the recent plastic ban. Patrons were treated to interactive booths, displays, and exhibitions from over 35 companies and government agencies. The expo, first conceptualized in the 1990s, seeks to address the need for practical environmental education for sustainable development for the public. It aims to answer the questions, what can I do for a better life better environment? And where can I get what I need to do it? From observation of retailers who set up shop at the event, patrons got the answers and even more. In regional news, thousands marched through Port-au-Prince on Sunday to demand the resignation of Haitian President Jovenel Moïse over allegation of embezzlement. Led by dozens of protesters on motorcycles, the mostly youthful demonstrators filled city center streets in a rally organized by opposition parties and civil society groups. Public disquiet flared after reports that judges of the High Court of Auditors said in a voluminous report last week that Moïse was at the center of an embezzlement scheme that siphoned off Venezuelan aid money intended for road repairs. The judge's report laid out a litany of examples of corruption and mismanagement. Venezuela's Petrocaribe aid program has been plagued by allegations of corruption since its establishment in 2008. The St. Vincent and the Grenadines was appointed to the United Nations Security Council last Friday. They are now the smallest nation on that council.
The country won 185 votes to secure the required two-thirds majority for a seat on the council. The council is composed of 15 members. There are 5 permanent members, that's China, France, Russia and the United Kingdom and the United States, and 10 non-permanent members elected for 2-year terms by the General Assembly. St. Vincent joins Niger, Tunisia, Estonia, Vietnam among the non-permanent members who will begin their 2-year term on January 1, 2020. The multi-island nation of 110,000 people said its bid was grounded in its respect for sovereignty, diversity of views, dialogue and peace and development.
Speaking after the vote, Prime Minister Ralph Gonsalves said Kingstown is committed to bedrock foundations of the UN Charter.
Non-interference, non-intervention, peaceful settlement of the serious difficulties pertaining to governance. To have dialogue, we support the process which is ongoing in Norway, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Last year, when there were discussions in the Dominican Republic sponsored by the former president of Spain, His Excellency Mr. Zapatero, and also the president of the Dominican Republic, and blessed by the Holy Father, Pope Francis. We were selected as one of the 6 facilitators in that process. So we have a history of that. CARICOM has a position on this matter for dialogue and peaceful settlement of this problem, which is getting more difficult day by day. And we want a conversation.
In sports, the REGGAE GIRLZ Women's World Cup campaign began with a baptism of fire on Sunday when they were blanked 3-0 by Brazil. This courtesy of a hat-trick from Brazilian forward Christiane. The veteran forward's goal in the 64th minute for the hat-trick came on a free kick that curled just under the crossbar. She also scored in the 15th and 50th minutes for the Brazilians, who were playing without star Marta. The 6-time Women's World Player of the Year was ruled out of the match because of a left thigh injury. The loss could have been worse for the REGGAE GIRLZ. Jamaica is the first Caribbean nation to play in the Women's World Cup. And that's the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.